Hey y'all, I'm John Hartness, and welcome back to the Long Con. Tonight, I am speaking to you from my house, and I am so happy to be in my house. Um, I have finished with my last appearance of 2018. I'm thrilled with that. I'm pretty happy with the way the year's gone. I'm going to do some numbers over the next week or so, and I'll do a year recap as far as what I've spent, what I've sold, and whether or not the year is in the black or in the red from all of this convention travel. But right now, I'm very happy to have a month between shows. Obviously, there's the holidays and all that, and I've got to deal with all of that kind of family stuff, but it's going to be nice to sleep in my own bed for a month before I do my only two scheduled back-to-back events for 2019, which is a Logicon and MarsCon. I'm trying really hard for 2019 to not schedule a ton of back-to-back events. It got to be too much this year. I'm done with 40 appearances or conventions over the course of the year. Some of those were like today, which was a half-day show. Today, I say half day, it was a 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. with load-in starting a little after 9, and it was probably 5:15 by the time I got out of there, so that's not too bad. So I guess it was really more like a full-day show. This was the Charlotte Comicon, which is one of my very favorite shows. I've been selling at the Charlotte Comicon since I started selling books, since I started writing fiction. So we're looking at 8 years now that I've been coming to this show and setting up, and I've seen the show grow and expand and move venues and get bigger and bigger, and from something where the first few times I set up at this show, I had a little bitty half a table with 2 books on it. I was probably the only person there selling fiction, the only person in Artist Alley that wasn't a comic book writer or comic book artist. And I was happy if I sold 2 books. If I walked out of there with 20 or 30 or $40 in my pocket, it was a really good day. As the show has grown, fortunately, my sales have also grown. Obviously, I have a ton more product. This year, I had several hardcovers move over the course of the show. That was really nice. We broke $400 today in sales at a one-day show that costs me nothing. So this is a wildly profitable show for me because I spent less than $10 on breakfast and $25 on dinner. I didn't really even eat lunch. Somebody brought me a pack of crackers and I had an extra soda from breakfast. And I didn't buy anything in the dealer room. I sat at my table and went over and talked to my friends Joey and Matt from the Charlotte Geeks and the Geek Gala and Muggles Market. That's all I did. And I had Teresa Glover, who writes the Caitlin Kelly Monster Hunter series, with me at the table. She moved 5 or 6 copies of her Caitlin books. Melissa Gilbert, who is my associate publisher at Falstaff, she was there to help. Her husband Jason was there hanging out, but he also helped load in and helped load out, which is really kind of him. I really appreciate that. And having friends there made it an easier day. I always have friends there because, again, I've been doing this show for 8 years. I know most of the people who are exhibiting. I've got a lot of friends there who are on the board of Con Carolinas. Probably a third of the or more of the board of Con Carolinas was there over the course of the day. So it's a pleasant show. It's close. I left my house at 8:45, and I was pulling into the. I left my house at 8:45. I stopped at the QT because I got to have my Mountain Dew. Stopped at the QT, and I was backing up to the loading area at 9:30. So then it's a really easy setup. The one-day small Comic Cons are really variable, though. They're something that you really have to investigate before you set up at them. This one, I've been friends with one of the guys that runs this show since I was in college. He ran the comic shop where I bought all my comics. That was Dave's Comics in Rock Hill. He got me into Magic the first time. It's all his fault. No, I still blame Sanderson. It's Brandon's fault, and I'm sticking to that story. But so when I first started, I messaged the Facebook page for this random Comic-Con, and lo and behold, my old buddy Dave ran it. He said, sure, I'll give you a piece of a table. You can come into Artist Alley. I don't charge my artists to exhibit at the show. Great. Well, the show's grown. It's now a hard show to get into, but I'm grandfathered in. I get a spot because I've been with them since they were very small. And I was, well, smaller than I am now. But also I had much less of a career. And I try to promote the show as much as possible. So if you're going to set up at a one-day Comic-Con as a writer, you need to know what's going on. How many authors are going to be there? You don't want to be at a one-day Comic-Con that has 200 people coming through the door and 6 fiction writers. That's a really saturated room. There's something in marketing called a blue ocean strategy. When there's a feeding frenzy in the water turns red because there's a lot of blood in the water. That means there's a lot of people fighting over that market. There were 3 authors at Charlotte Comicon today that I know of. My friends Seth and Casey were there with their books. I never actually saw them both. I saw Casey, I never saw Seth. My friend Jason Graves with Prospective Press was there. I never saw Jason. I didn't leave my table. But there were a couple thousand people through the door. A couple thousand people divided amongst 3 people selling fiction. That's a pretty good day. If there were a couple hundred people with 3 people selling fiction, it would have been a much worse day. If there were a couple thousand people with 20 people selling fiction, and it's not a fiction-centered event, then it's rough, then it's bad. So you have to pay attention to the makeup of the rest of the Artist's Alley at events like this, because books are not the primary focus for a Comic-Con. Newsflash, it's comic books. I know, right? Who'd have fucking thought? People are coming to a Comic-Con to buy comic stuff. So as a fiction writer, you know that you're already not what they came in the door for. I'm fortunate, not lucky, but fortunate at this show because I've done it for so long. There are people who come to me at this show every year. Some of them come to see me at this show every time I do it, and this show happens 3 times a year. Fortunately, I'm very prolific, and I run a publishing company. I always have something new. That's another thing to keep in mind as you're beginning to do more and more events. If you're only going to release a book twice a year, or even if you're only going to release 1 book in a year, don't do 3 cons in the same city, because you're not going to get the market every time. You're going to see diminishing returns. People may love your work, but when they come up to your table, they're going to say, what's new? What don't I have? I love your work. You're brilliant. What have you got that's new? If the answer is nothing, then they're not buying. So tailor your attendance to the number of books that you're creating as well. That's why I'm pulling back a lot on my events for 2019, because doing so many shows cut into my productivity. I still came home and got 500 words out today, but 500 words is not my daily word count goal. Right now, I'm taking it light in December. I'm trying to do 1,000 words a day. And I usually don't write on weekends. But when I'm cooking, I shoot for 2,000 to 4,000 words a day. That's more than 500. So doing as many shows as I did this year cut into my productivity, and I can't do that. So as you're looking at your year, pick your battles. Most of my battles that are 1 and 2 day Comic Cons are off the table for 2019. I'm doing the Heroes Minicon in January because it's local and well attended, and I have friends and fans that I know will be there. I'm doing the 3 Charlotte Comicons in April, August, and December. Again, I know I have fans and friends that will be there. It's local. My costs are minimal. I'm doing the South Carolina Comicon in March in Greenville. That's my only South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Asheville area appearance for 2019. So I'm drawing from those metropolitan areas. Plus there's 8,000 to 10,000 people at that con. And I can do it with one night's hotel split with my friend Darren. So we can knock that out and it can be very reasonably priced. Even so, I may not do that show next year. After next year. I'm not doing Soda City Comic Con in 2019. It wasn't as profitable. I don't think it was profitable at all this year. And yeah, it only takes one hotel night. But if I'm not making any money, I don't have a chance to get in front of people to sell them on me or Falstaff as a brand, then it's not worth doing. And I can concentrate my efforts on stuff that is a better career builder. Plus that con is the weekend before Dragon, and it just kicked my ass to do that show Saturday and Sunday, come home, empty the truck, and get packed to leave for Dragon Con on Wednesday. Because I drive down to Atlanta on Wednesday for Dragon Con. That way I can get into Atlanta Thursday morning, get everything set up before the con starts on Friday. And really, there's programming at Dragon on Thursday night now, so the convention starts on Thursday. But Charlotte Comicon was great. It's always great. If you're in the area, any of the times that it's going on, you should come out, get a chance to meet creators, get a chance to meet indie artists and indie creators, get a chance to buy some comics, find some deals, find some back issues, find some Funko Pops, find some shit, whatever. But yeah, that was my day. It was excellent. I had a great time, and me and Matt and Joey have basically settled on a tradition now that after the con we go to a Mexican restaurant and we have dinner, so that was nice. It's good to decompress with friends and talk and lie and tell stories and bullshit and just hang out for a little bit. But that is where we are at the end of 2018's convention season. I'm gonna go watch some wrestling, and then I'm going to bed. Then over the course of the next week or so, I will work up some numbers, take a look at my estimated expenditure and my gross revenue, and we can take a look and see if I made any money. I think I'm probably going to end up about $1,000 in the black for the year, but I could be off by as much as $2,000. And then we have to decide whether or not I tell all of you people the same numbers I'm telling the IRS. Shh. No, don't cheat on your taxes, folks. It's too fucking easy to get caught. Or cheat on your taxes. Fuck, I don't care. You do you. Live your life. So yeah, I'm out. Y'all be good to one another.